Meghan is livid. Harry has met someone who is his age, with whom he is in love, and who is in love with him.
What would you do if you picked up your husband's phone and discovered that the man who abandoned a throne for you, who walked away from 1,000 years of tradition, who told 2 billion people you were his soulmate, had found someone else, not through a tabloid leak, not through a palace whisper, through his own messages glowing on the screen in your own home? That, according to one of the most legally fearless royal commentators alive, is exactly what Meghan Markle reportedly found on Prince Harry's phone. And the detail she found there doesn't just threaten a marriage, it retroactively rewrites every single public moment you've witnessed over the past year. Stay until the end, because there's one thread from Harry's past that makes this entire situation almost inevitable, and almost nobody is connecting it. Before we go any further, you need to understand who's making this claim, because this isn't some anonymous social media account farming engagement. Lady Colin Campbell has operated at the exact intersection of royal access and public disclosure for over 30 years. Her Diana biography landed on the New York Times bestseller list in 1992. She's authored 7 unauthorized books on the British monarchy, including one specifically examining the Sussex relationship. She's been threatened with legal action more times than most people update their phone software, and she keeps talking. When she sat down on a well-known podcast and prefaced her remarks with 4 words, "You cannot sue me," that wasn't bravado. That was a calculated legal position. She weighed the risk. She assessed the exposure. And she decided that what she was about to say could survive any courtroom challenge. That's not guessing. That's someone who believes they're standing on concrete. So here's what she revealed. Prince Harry has reportedly formed a deep emotional connection with a woman his own age, a woman who, according to Campbell's sources, is genuinely in love with him, and the feeling is mutual. Now, Campbell was careful. She deliberately avoided the word affair. She inserted qualifiers, but then she painted every single detail that surrounds one, sketching the complete portrait without naming the canvas. And when she finished, she suggested someone should probably open champagne to calm the room. That's who she is. Precise, devastating, and fully aware of the grenade she just placed on the table. Then came more details. This woman isn't some random encounter at a gala. She lives in or around Montecito, the exclusive California enclave where Harry and Meghan purchased their estate. A community built on extraordinary wealth where privacy is purchased alongside real estate and discretion is social currency. This woman is described as financially secure, well-connected, someone who naturally moves in Harry's actual orbit. Not a fleeting crossing of paths, someone from his world. And then came the sentence that stopped everything. Nobody knows how long this has been going on. Let that land. Because if this connection predates the solo trips, the separate schedules, the visible distance that's been growing for a year, then every public moment you've witnessed starts looking completely different. Every solo red carpet, every overseas trip alone, every photograph where one of them is conspicuously absent, all of it stops looking like scheduling conflicts and starts looking like something being carefully managed behind the scenes. Because the evidence has been accumulating in plain sight. Over the past 12 months, Harry and Meghan have been constructing increasingly separate public lives. And this isn't the normal separation of 2 busy professionals. This is a pattern. Meghan traveled to Geneva alone, Chicago alone, a moose, gala without Harry, a red carpet by herself, a children's hospital fundraiser, a charity dinner, a tribute event for Tyler Perry, all without her husband. One report noted they hadn't been photographed together for over 40 days. 40 days for a couple who once sat before Oprah Winfrey and told the world they were inseparable. Meanwhile, Harry keeps making solo trips back to Britain, the country he once called unsafe for his family. And every time he returns, observers note the same thing. He looks lighter, more relaxed, more like the Harry people remember from before. And if that doesn't raise questions, the Paris incident certainly should. Late 2024, Meghan attended Paris Fashion Week. She filmed herself in the back of a chauffeured car, feet up, city lights rolling past, and posted it to Instagram. A glamorous travel moment, right? Except multiple observers immediately identified something that transformed the clip entirely. The route appeared to pass directly through the area near the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. That's where Princess Diana died. Harry was 12 years old. He walked behind her coffin while 2 billion people watched. He has spoken publicly, repeatedly, with enormous pain about how stories involving cars, photographers, and Paris at night continue to haunt him. And there was his wife, filming herself in a chauffeured car in that exact area, posting it like an aesthetic moment for social media. Her team later said she hadn't realized where she was. And here's the thing. People at Meghan's level don't travel without advanced teams. Routes are planned. Locations are scouted. Context is considered. That's baseline protocol. So the real question isn't whether she knew. The question is how nobody in her professional orbit flagged it before she pressed record. But all of that, the solo appearances, the Paris footage, the 40-day gap, that's just the surface. The historical pattern underneath is what makes this truly significant. Before Meghan, there was Chelsea Davy. 7 years, the longest in Mo. Saint meaningful romance of Harry's early life. Raised in Zimbabwe, laid back, unimpressed by royal formality, she made Harry laugh in ways Buckingham Palace rarely allowed, but in sworn courtroom testimony, Harry described how tabloid surveillance destroyed that relationship. A tracking device on her car, private arguments becoming morning headlines. He used the word nightmare. The scrutiny corroded trust until nothing remained. Then came Cressida Bonus, aristocratic, caring. But she watched what happened to Chelsea. She saw the paparazzi stakeouts, the front-page dissections of every outfit and expression. And she made a rational, heartbreaking calculation. Loving Prince Harry wasn't worth being consumed by the machinery around him. 2 women, 2 relationships, destroyed by the same forces. Then came Meghan, and Harry did something no senior royal had done in modern history. He walked away. The fairy tale presented through Oprah, Netflix, and the memoir Spare was that Harry had finally escaped the system that destroyed his previous relationships. He'd found his person. He was free. But here's the thread almost nobody pulls. Harry didn't escape the cage. He relocated it. He left Buckingham Palace's surveillance culture and built a $16 million estate surrounded by cameras of a different kind. Content cameras, Netflix cameras, documentary cameras, podcast recording equipment. He traded imposed scrutiny for voluntary scrutiny, palace cameras for Netflix cameras, royal duty for content creation. The fundamental tension, a private man being watched when he doesn't want to be watched, remained identical. The setting changed. The architecture of the trap did not. And this is where the comparison nobody in Harry's circle once spoken aloud becomes unavoidable. King Charles and Princess Diana. Charles married a magnetic, globally adored woman. Behind the scenes, the relationship fractured under incompatible expectations and relentless scrutiny. He found comfort in a connection with someone else, Camilla, who understood his world and offered something the marriage could not. The marriage endured publicly for years, after it had ended privately. Now place Harry's situation beside that. He married a magnetic, globally commanding woman. Behind the scenes, fractures appear to be developing under incompatible expectations and relentless scrutiny, both imposed and self-generated. And according to Lady Colin Campbell, he has found comfort in a connection with someone else, a woman who understands his world, who offers something the current arrangement does not. The structural echo is almost exact. Psychologists call it repetition compulsion, the unconscious tendency to recreate the dynamics of your earliest formative experiences, even while trying desperately to break free from them. Harry lost his mother to a marriage that failed publicly and catastrophically. He spent his entire adult life determined to write a different story, and yet the story may be writing him. What's truly revealing isn't the claim itself, it's how people responded. When relationship scandals typically break, the pattern is predictable. Shock, outrage, tribal division. That's not what happened here. The dominant reaction across platforms was 2 words. Saw it coming. Not surprise. Not disbelief. A quiet, weary recognition. Memes spread. British humor did what British humor does. Sharp, dry, devastating. But underneath the laughter was something that cut to the bone. The audience had spent years watching something presented one way while sensing it was another. When Campbell spoke, she didn't shock people. She gave language to something they'd already been processing in silence. Psychologists call this the availability cascade. When a privately held suspicion receives public validation, every person who'd been thinking it quiet at least suddenly feels permission to say it aloud. That's exactly what Campbell triggered. Not a new thought, a released one. Now, fairness demands precision. Lady Colin Campbell has not claimed a confirmed affair. She has not named anyone. She is working with sources, and sources are not proof. Reported claims are not established facts. The Sussexes have not responded. Buckingham Palace has not responded. Nobody close to Harry has confirmed or denied. That silence could mean many things. What it means for us right now is that we're working with reported allegations and publicly observable evidence. I've presented both as clearly as I can. But here's the bottom line. Prince Harry surrendered an extraordinary amount to make this marriage work. His family, his homeland, his military identity, his position in one of the oldest institutions on Earth. The question millions are now asking openly is whether that sacrifice actually served the marriage or simply changed the scenery in which the same tensions, the same isolation, and the same distance between what is performed and what is felt were always destined to surface? That question doesn't have a clean answer yet, but it has millions of people asking it, and they're not stopping. Because somewhere in the golden hills above Santa Barbara, a man who once stood at a chapel altar and told the world he'd found his person may now be quietly reckoning with the possibility that the story he tried to write isn't the story being written. And perhaps the most royal thing about him, the trait he could never escape, is the inability to break a pattern, no matter how far you run. The audience was ahead of the narrative this time. For possibly the first time in royal media history, the public assembled the picture before the source confirmed it. They noticed the diverging schedules, the shifting body language, the routes through G.H. Paris that passed through the wrong tunnel. They didn't need a biographer. They needed someone brave enough to say it out loud. The story of Harry and Meghan is no longer a love story being told to the world. It's a question being asked by the world. And when the answer finally comes, it won't arrive through a Netflix special or an Instagram post filmed in the back of a car. It will come from the two people at the center. And based on every pattern visible right now, that answer may already be taking shape behind closed doors in Montecito. You just haven't been told yet. If you found this analysis valuable, hit subscribe, because the next chapter of this story is going to shake everything up. I'll see you in the next one.